Look what I found for TYT Sports.
I know. There was a guy who on your end of the team that decided to do some political content. So I said, hey, let me come over on TYT Sports and talk sports with you guys.
Even though it's not necessarily all sports.
It's not. Sometimes we're allowed to speak on behalf of political matters.
Oh, calm yourself down. Considering, many people don't know this, but Hasan and I started the same week 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
4 years ago, and I think it was like a 2 weeks earlier than you, technically. Yeah. It was a good lead. It was a comfortable lead. It wasn't like a twin situation where like, who was born before? That's the older twin.
You're older than me, aren't you?
I don't know.
When were you born?
July 25th, 1981.
Oh, by 2 months.
Wow. You need to call me daddy now.
Like all your comment section. Oh my God. All right, so why am I bringing the actual youngest Turk at the Young Turks onto the Young Turks Sports?
Thank you for talking about my Twitter bio.
You're welcome. That's the only thing I know about you is from your Twitter bio. It's finally nice to meet you in person. The Enes Kanter of the Oklahoma City Thunder was being held in Romania for a passport issue, all related back to the Turkish government, which Hasan knows thick and through. Is that the phrasing? He's back in the United States now, but he did raise a lot of questions that go with this. So before Hasan can break this down for you, or you can go see the breakdown on Facebook. There's your plug. Now you can stop asking.
Never asked.
Even though you didn't.
Never
I want to show first, and these are out of order because I didn't get the number of Jakori. So the Kanter video is the first one.
What's up, world? Just wanted to say we are in Romania, and they said they canceled my passport by Turkish embassy. They've been holding us here for hours by these two police. Because the reason behind it is just, of course, my political views, and the guy who did it is, the Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, and just you guys know him by, he's attacked the people in Washington. He's a bad man. He's a dictator, and he's the Hitler of our century. So I will keep you posted, guys, but just pray for us, and I'll tell you guys what's going on. Appreciate it.
Sent out these two tweets once he got back to the United States and has now made it very clear that obviously he wants to somehow expedite becoming a US citizen. All good, baby. Gonna give a press conference tomorrow in New York. Got lots of things to say with lots of crazy stories. Be ready. And he followed that up with hello, the most beautiful country in the world, the United States of America. So he's happy to be back in the US. He says he does not have a country because he cannot go back to Turkey. He cannot speak with his family in Turkey because of this.
Not just because of this, because they also disowned him.
Right, because of their political views towards Turkish current leader Erdogan.
Yeah. So obviously this is an extremely complicated matter, much like every other complicated matter in the Middle East. The Turkish politics are intertwined with American foreign policy, given Turkey's geopolitical placement in the Middle East region, and also the Turkish government has always been a political ally of the US. Now, the reason why I mention this is because Enes Kanter is a supporter of Fethullah Gülen. He is a Muslim cleric that is currently living in the Poconos somewhere on a massive.
He can't be in Turkey.
Yeah, because he can't be in Turkey. He was exiled, and the reason for that, originally he moved to the US because of his political views. And my understanding is that he may or may not be allegedly a CIA asset. It does seem like he is. He has a network of Islam-focused schools all around the world, even in America as well, in certain parts of Africa, where the US government believes he is teaching, Fethullah Gülen is teaching a more moderate opinion of Islam, like a more moderate school of thought that's more manageable. I don't like either political leader. I don't like the Muslim cleric Fethullah Gülen. Erdogan had originally pointed the finger at Fethullah Gülen and claimed that he'd been responsible for the coup. We found out later that that is by and large true, that Fethullah Gülen was responsible. It was his actors. We're talking about a guy who has his grip on Turkish politics, and they came up together. Fethullah Gülen and Erdogan were political allies originally, and then somewhere down the line, a couple years ago, they separated, and it's been vicious ever since. So when you hear about journalists being jailed, or when you hear about academics being jailed in Turkey, they're usually Fethullah Gülen supporters. Now, am I saying that Erdogan is also using that title to put certain journalists in jail that may or may not be Erdogan supporters? Absolutely. I think that Do I think that Erdogan is not the greatest political leader? Absolutely. I think that he is, like I agree with some of the things that Enes Kanter is saying as far as like Erdogan is transitioning the country and has fully shifted it from a democratic republic to an authoritarian dictatorship. We know that we have the single greatest Twitter censorship in any country in the world. We jail more journalists per capita after China. And so the reality is it's very complicated. I don't like Fethullah Gulen either. I think the reason for Enes Kanter being such a staunch supporter of Fethullah Gulen is because he grew up in one of those schools and he was raised in one of those schools. He went to Samanyolu, which is a Fethullah Gulen school.
Okay.
And that's one of the biggest reasons why he was basically indoctrinated to this ideology. And at a time when Fethullah Gulen was celebrated by Turks specifically in the government, I never celebrated it because I am of the earlier socio-economic political elite, which was more Western focused, and we believe in secularism, and we think that Islam people should practice Islam whichever way they want to, but most importantly, it should have no say in governance, whereas this new government is exactly the opposite of that. It's very conservative. But I don't like either political leader.
On record.
But the reason why I'm explicitly stating is like there are some things that Enes Kanter said that are true about Erdogan as far as like the dictatorship angle. But the reason for why he's saying it is because he's a supporter of Fethullah Gulen, who is not better, if not much worse than Erdogan.
Interesting. Thank you for that clarification. So one of the things that we touched on during that period that you just spoke for was last August, Kanter's father Mehmet publicly condemned his son's political views, writing a letter published by the Turkish news media that claimed his son had been hypnotized by Gulen. Is that correct pronunciation?
Gulen.
Gulen.
Whatever.
With a feeling of shame, I apologize to our president and the Turkish people for having such a son. So he mentions in an Outside the Lines interview that he hasn't talked to his family in 2 years, half because he's been disowned, but also half because it's split. His brother is with him in the United States, I think trying to get away from his family in Turkey based off what he was making it seem like. That's just speculation. I don't know if he's split between wanting to be with Enes or if he wants to be with his family back in Turkey. So that's speculation on my part. But interestingly, this also ties back to the proposed Muslim ban that was going on during, and who voted for this and who came out in favor of it. So there's one Republican representative that happily expedited the passport or tried to get not the right word I'm looking for, happily do whatever he could to help Enes Kanter get back into the United States, but also publicly went on TV and on record saying he fully supports this travel ban.
Well, the travel ban did not affect all Muslim nations. That was one of the reasons why we call it a travel ban versus Donald Trump calling it a Muslim ban multiple times. And originally, when they were creating the ban, they were calling it a Muslim ban because they wanted to ban all Muslims. Now that has changed, and also, thankfully, it was deemed unconstitutional by lower courts, and hopefully it will never come back again. But Turkish people are in a different position within the Islamic world, largely because of what I just mentioned already, which is that we're Western focused and we're secular and we're basically like an A+ Muslim nation that other Muslim nations look to as far as progress and how we can go forward with it. Having said, that's the reason why those are two, they're not mutually exclusive concepts.
Right.
Like you can be in favor of the Muslim ban, which is terrible, but still, you can be backwards and be in favor of the Muslim ban, but then be a really big fan of the OKC and be like, I love Enes Kanter, given the fact that Enes Kanter is actually anti-Turkey, or anti-Erdogan, but pro-Fethullah Gulen, which is a known CIA asset, allegedly.
How many people would you, this is too speculative a question. Would you say, when you say anti-Turkey or anti-Erdogan, there's a major difference?
Yes. But he stated that he's anti-Turkey because he believes that Turkey is now, Kanter has mentioned that he doesn't have a country anymore, and that's because he believes all of Turkey to be representative of Erdogan's beliefs. That's not true. There are still people in opposition of Erdogan in Turkey. There are plenty of people. It's definitely a large majority. It's kind of like the Donald Trump situation that we have in the US, where like there are still many people that publicly go up against Donald Trump. There are many people that go up against Erdogan as well. However, our media situation is a little bit different. It's exactly what will happen to the US in the next 4-something odd years if we don't continue resisting.
Okay. In addition, I wanted to make the point that when it comes to the NBA and globally representation, Turkey has always been a country that has represented the NBA pretty well. Ersan Ilyasova, Edu Turgoglu, and just players, and of course Enes Kanter, all these players who made it overseas to the United States to play in the NBA at the highest level.
Right?
Yeah, Omar Ashik. It's really good big men. You guys can't develop. Could you develop like a 6'4" point guard? You'd have.
I mean, I'm saying no, but that's the thing. Like 6'4" is you're technically kind of a big man too in Turkey. It just varies.
Why do you play point guard for Turkey?
Because I can't play point guard. I played like a power forward my entire basketball career.
You get bodied by Kanter.
No, of course.
But not defensively. He can't stop you defensively because he doesn't play defense.
Yeah, I mean, he'd crush me probably, though. He'd still beat me.
Possibly.
One time I shot over on our test, so I could probably beat him.
Did you score or you just shot over him?
I just shot over him.
I got the ball past his reach.
I did. I shot it. It didn't go in, but that's a very important
I like how you call him Ron Artest. You call him his name before his name before his name's name.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know what Panda Bear name he has now, so I'm calling him Ron Artest. I'm confused. It's like a P. Diddy situation. It's like, is it Sean Combs, a Puff Daddy, P. Diddy? What is it? I'm just saying Diddy. Ron Artest.
Thanks for coming on, Alex.
Thank you for having me.